Dave Craig, I could probably see less of Dave and be okay with that. I'm just kidding. I love Dave. Hey, it's Dave Wyman, time for Football 101. I thought because of the top 50 Seahawks, we would just kind of go through and talk to some of the guys that I know and the guys that I've met over the years, guys that I played with, and I'm really excited for this weekend. I think it's going to be really cool. Start off with a couple of guys, Cliff Averill and Matt Hasselbeck. We had on the show this week, and you can go to Seattle Sports on the YouTube page and check out the video with Matt Hasselbeck. And just a great interview. Matt is just one of the best men ever. And then same thing with Cliff Averill. We're huge fans of him. Bob loves him. Anyway, yeah, Cliff is one of the great players of all time and just one of the great people of all time. So those two come first. I'm just kind of going through a list of guys that I'm really excited to see. And, you know, both those guys will be there, and we had them on the show this week. Also just wanted to pay tribute to those that are no longer with us, unfortunately. Cortez Kennedy, who was a Hall of Famer, a guy that I played behind. There was lots of times where he would shake me off like a pitcher with a catcher. If I said, I want you to go left, he's like, no. And I would say, okay, you go whatever way you want, because all he did was make plays. He's in the Hall of Fame. Dave Brown also just passed way too early, but a guy, 62 interceptions, should be in the Hall of Fame. Absolutely should be in the Hall of Fame. He's going to be well represented on Sunday with his widow Rhonda, and then also his two sons Sterling and Aaron. And I stay in touch with Aaron quite a bit. And Aaron has an entire list of players from John Elway to Glenn Dickey to Dan Marino that Dave picked off. And he is number 10 all time in the NFL. Absolutely should be a Hall of Famer. Some of the guys that I see, and I don't want to say, it's not like I'm not that excited to see him, it's just I get a chance to see some of these guys. And Edwin Bailey, who he was a test for me. Like, I knew if I could take on Edwin Bailey, he had the hardest head in the NFL. And so I thought, if I could take on Edwin Bailey, I knew exactly how tough I was. Another guy that I see all the time, and he's a big part of the Seahawks, Jacob Green. And I'll get into Jake, Joe, and Jeff later, but those were our three defensive linemen, Joe Nash, Jeff Bryant, and Jacob Green, and those guys were the law on the team, on the entire team. But Jacob Green, just one of the great players. Dave Craig, I could probably see less of Dave and be okay with that. I'm just kidding. I love Dave, but he comes on the show and he'll fight with me over, you know, he's always arguing with me. But Dave Craig, what a great story out of Melton College. And I'll be really excited to see him. Eugene Robinson's another guy I get a chance to talk to all the time, which is great. The one thing I remember about Eugene, he would always beat me by 1 or 2 tackles to be the leading tackler for the Seahawks. And just a great player and a really good friend. Lofa Tatupu, maybe my favorite Seahawk of all time. I like him. Bob always says, you like him more than you like yourself. I'm like, yeah, that's true. He's a guy who complained one time because he got 3 interceptions in a game, 3 interceptions in one game, and complained to us after the game when we talked to him that he should have had 4. And I was like, you little punk, you just tied my whole career with 3 interceptions in one game. So, but Lofa, just one of the best football players of all time. He was on the Super Bowl 40 team. And then Kurt Warner, guy that lives nearby. I see Kurt like 2 or 3 times a year. One of my favorite people. All these guys that I'm talking about, the veterans, they were so good to me when I was a rookie. Now I'll say this, I shut my mouth. You know, nobody wants to have a rookie that's talking all the time. But Kurt Warner, one of my favorite people, and just a really good football player. Now, these are guys, this category, it's about 6 or 7 guys here where they're guys that I don't get to see hardly ever. Now, this is Keith Butler right here. And Keith most recently was the defensive coordinator for the Pittsburgh Steelers a few years ago. Now he's retired. But when I got drafted in Seattle, he came up to me and he said, "You were drafted to replace me, so you might as well stand next to me and take it all in and ask questions." And I did. And the other thing I remember about him, he's from Tennessee. He's got a real heavy drawl kind of. He called me boy my entire rookie year. Never Dave, never Y Monster, whatever nickname, boy. And then second year, he started calling me by my name. So appreciated that, but like he taught me so much, and I'll be really excited to see Keith. I mentioned the sort of the mafia on the team, what is it, Cosa Nostra? You got three guys there, Jeff Bryant, Jacob Green, and Joe Nash. And like I said, if those guys always agreed on everything, and if you had a problem with one of them, you had a problem with all three of them. They just stuck together. And Jeff Bryant is, very quiet guy. I've communicated with him a little bit, just text and everything, but I haven't seen him in like 15 years. So he was a sneaky good player that is well-deserved in the top 50. And then Rufus Porter. This is a guy who made the team as an undrafted free agent. It was my second year. He came in and he made the team on special teams. And I want everybody that was watching the Seahawks back in the 80s and 90s knows who Rufus Porter is. He made special teams a thing, and him and Rusty Tillman together. And there was a time on a kickoff where the returner caught the ball at the goal line. And by the time he got to the 5-yard line, Rufus had already redirected him. Like Roof was down there like on the 7 or 8-yard line, and the guy had to go sideways and somebody else made the tackle. But he just could fly down the field. And then he ended up making the Pro Bowl as a pass rusher. So I don't think I've seen Rufus in like 40 years. So really excited for that. Another guy, John L. Williams, and I think I said this last week, if I close my eyes, I can see him running for 75 yards on a screen pass that he caught against the Raiders down in LA. And it was essentially the AFC West championship game. And we won that game a lot because of him. He has almost 10,000 all-purpose yards, John L. Williams. So can't wait to see John L. Haven't seen him probably in 30, 35 years. Fred Young, this is the guy I've not seen at all, like since he left Seattle. So this would have been like 1988 or 89. But Fred Young, Fred with 2 Ds, had the hardest head. I said earlier Edwin Bailey, but he would knock people out pretty regularly on special teams. And then again, just like Rufus Porter, Fred Young, who I think was out of New Mexico or New Mexico State, he was just, a late round draft choice who just excelled in the NFL and made his bones basically on special teams. And there was a special team guy named Hank Bauer for the San Diego Chargers at the time who was assigned to block Fred Young, and Fred knocked him out. So, and he just by just doing a little motion with his head, he knocked him out. So he was one of the great players and a guy that I got to know. Remember my rookie year, he came right up to me, started talking to me, and really, really liked him, but I just haven't seen him in a long time. So it's going to be really cool. So yeah, I'm very excited about this group of guys that are in the top 50. And we got a chance to talk to a lot of them. And yeah, so I will really enjoy this weekend seeing all these guys, and I think they're coming out at halftime, but it's going to be phenomenal to see some of the guys that built this team over the years.